Welcome, everybody, to They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Oz, and I'm joined as always by Josh Lambert, Aaron Peerless, and Tim Johnson. And joining us for the first time, a new member of the crew, Brendan Dunphy, the Halifax Bats himself.
Yay!
So, before we go any further, I just want to kind of point out Brendan has joined us through coercion from Tim. But essentially, Brendan, you're not an extreme horror fan like the rest of us, are you?
I was chosen because I'm sucky when it comes to horror stuff.
So we're going to get a bit of a virgin-esque view on some of these horror movies. Brendan will wish that he has not seen half the shit that we put him through, but that perspective is for fun. So thank you very much for joining us, Brendan. That is
I have
for
a
fun.
therapist for a reason.
For our fun. That's right.
I feel like this is a long con to get Aaron to make us watch Phantasm again.
Hey, we got it now. We got it.
That's
Hey.
about it. So, all right. So, Tim, with that, please tell us what we're watching tonight.
We are watching a very underrated movie from 1991. Body Parts.
Stay tuned. All right, Tim, give us that wonderful, wonderful synopsis.
After losing his arm in a car accident, a criminal psychologist has replaced it with a limb that used to belong to a serial killer.
I had to bring that back just for this one, didn't I? Okay,
We did.
here we go. A typical 90s attempt at giving us something that is so fucking weird it has no real explanation. I don't even know what to say about that one. Here we go. So, yes, we have Jeff Fahey plays the Doctor, the main character in this movie. He basically gets into a major car accident, loses his right arm, and as the synopsis says, he is given the opportunity for a full attachment of a new arm, a donor arm. And in a pretty, probably actually my favorite scene in the entire movie, as he's kind of in and out of anesthetic, you witness them literally sawing apart somebody and giving him the arm right then and there. And I thought that was actually pretty interesting, that whole scenario there. But yes, yeah, so as it turns out, the arm came from a serial killer that was put to death that exact moment that he was in the operating room and was given that. Further to that, they come to find out that other people had been given, obviously, other donor limbs. Another person that's in this movie is obviously Chucky himself. So we have Brad Dourif. He's given the other arm, and he's an artist. Then we have somebody who was given the legs. And yeah, very interesting start and way to this movie. However, talk about the way that the movie progresses. So it's one thing that he obviously is given the donor arm and appendage, but he starts to see things, starts to have little visions. The arm starts to work uncontrollably, starts by a really weird sex scene where the arm is like uncontrollably grabbing his wife's ass and shit like this. It's kind of funny the way that they kind of really focused on that. It was hilarious. Very sexual. Thank you, Aaron. I was hoping somebody would toss that in there. I'll never fucking live that down, and I don't mind at all. At all. And like I said, it starts to give him troubles. The arm is almost acting like it's got a mind of its own. You know, something in connection to the dead previous owner. And when he seeks out some information, he finds out obviously it was the serial killer whose arm it is. He starts to try to warn people. The artist, Brad Dourif's character, is highly sought after now for his very macabre and odd fucking paintings, which, as it turns out, some sort of a psychic link through the arm which he was given is showing him like the last minutes of the serial killer's victims, and he's painting them in very macabre portraits, and he's selling them for fucking millions and making his money. All kinds of weird shit like this going on, to the point where he wants to get his arm taken off, and the movie just goes really fucking weird from there. So please feel free to jump in and contribute, gentlemen, about this movie, the story, the characters, anything you want to talk about.
I feel like this movie is one of those movies like, okay, so I know I saw it before when I was a kid, but I feel like when I watched it again, I feel like this is like a very kind of old idea. Like it didn't seem like it was, I don't know.
That was
like,
my big issue too, Tim. Like the sci-fi aspect of it,
Yeah.
science has caught up to it, so it's no longer sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like people get limb transfer. all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, they did an episode of The Simpsons that was kind of similar to this. I know really it was something else that was inspired, but like when Homer got the hair transplant and it was like Snake or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like this was like I read it in a Stephen King,
Or
like
seen it in like an old
anthology
episode of Outer
like
Limits or some shit.
Yeah, like it felt like, I mean, I feel like there was like some kind of thing where it was like Mark Hamill got like an eye transplant or something.
That was Tales from the
in
Dark
a
Side, I'm
movie.
pretty sure.
And,
Think so.
was it?
I'll have to look that up. I think that was Tales from the Dark Side, yes.
But it reminded me of this.
Mm.
Like that whole idea of like, you know, the transplant, you know, playing on the idea of the phantom limb. You know what I mean? But really it's a serial killer. Serial killer's hand.
It reminded me of Idle Hand
Yeah.
or Idle Hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I seen when I was way too young to probably see it, I'm sure. But what's with the memories of the killings transferring through blood? That's how it happens, right? Like you store your memories in your blood.
Apparently.
Oh, sweet.
That's
Apparently.
the general idea.
You poor soul. You're trying to make sense of a really stupid movie.
And using a big old buzzsaw to take off.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah.
In really stupid movies.
Thank you, Josh.
So
It was exhausting.
You know what though? You know what though? Like I at the end of the day, like this wasn't a poorly made movie back in 1991. Like I know I'm getting kind of ahead of myself with the my thoughts on the whole thing, but like I mean, there was points that were boring, but I kind of liked it. Like I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked it.
I totally enjoyed it.
It wasn't like some movies that I was forced to watch on this podcast.
When I watched
I'm not going to mention names, but I believe we all know what I'm talking about.
Here's my problem with this. This came out the same year as Silence of the Lambs. Like, they were perfectly capable of making good horror movies that will last generations. And this one isn't one.
It's got a big following though. I mean, it's hitting Blu-ray and DVD copies, and it's got lots of releases, and it's on streaming services for rent and shit. It's not like it's one of these lost 90s movies. Like, it's got a following. No. This movie even made the cover of Fangoria that year. You know, that's
I've got that, I think. Yeah. Look, Tim, when you watched it the second time, did you find that it was totally different than from the first time that you watched it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I can't remember who I was talking to about this, like, on the phone. I don't remember, but I just feel like it was a lot different watching it with, adult. I jump on and do a podcast about horror eyes. Like I picked up on little things and like
more critical.
Yeah, I was a little
Yeah.
bit more critical, but like really I should have been like, this movie fucking sucks. But I can't say that it sucked. I didn't feel like it sucked. It was kind of boring, but
Yeah. I
okay.
Anybody else notice the guy liner?
Yeah.
you mean the
Eyeliner.
eyeliner that he was wearing the whole time? Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
Yeah, like through the whole
Yeah, on the
movie. Yeah,
guy.
guy liner. Okay.
But I mean, Jeff
it
Fahey,
was
like
distracting.
his eyes are so piercing blue anyway. They want to bring that out a little bit, and I think in every kind of movie that I've ever worked on or TV show, we're always putting a different color eyeliner under somebody's eyes, depending on if they're like if they're a good guy or if they're playing a villain. Right? We really want to bring the eyes out if they're a villain by just putting like a light bronze or brown right underneath the eye, right? It brings out the eyes so that when they're looking at the camera, they're piercing a little bit
They were
more, and it
too
really,
piercing.
yeah, that's it. Well, his
It was
character,
eerie.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's so good at that. I mean, look at him in Lawnmower Man too, right? Like he was just like his eyes and his face are just so unique, right? That's why I like that guy. I thought he
I got
was.
Chris Pine vibes right away from him when I saw
Yeah,
him.
yeah, I could see
Like a
little bit, yeah.
early 90s
I,
Chris
I
Pine.
totally got Robert Downey Jr. with blue contacts at the end of Tropic Thunder when he takes off the fucking the wig and you see just the bright blue eyes.
Oh,
Kirk Lazarus.
This movie
Lazarus.
suffers from all the fun stuff happening in the last 15 minutes.
It does.
Yeah.
Like it is a bit of a slow burn. Like
Like
it's
the
meant to
first-
be almost like a psychological, tear down is what's happening. Like these guys, he suffers the major accident and then he goes through rehabilitation and then he just starts suffering from mental imagery and an uncontrolled maneuvers with the hand. And then in the last, like you said, 15 minutes, it just blows up.
it's just
Yeah.
bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
It was a slow crawl, but it was kind of interesting to watch his own personal evolution and his psychosis, and then now he's trying to find other people that are going through the same stuff as him and putting all the pieces together. But then it just like you said, the last 15 minutes is just like boom,
Yeah.
this is it, blown wide open.
It
The
No,
other
no,
two
for me-
guys are almost gaslighting him. Like the other two guys
Yeah.
are like, yeah, no, everything's cool. Nothing
Yeah.
to see here.
The least supportive wife ever.
I don't know. I just found watching this. I
King
picked
shamer.
up like with like it was like a fucking discount Stephen King vibe, like just the way that the story was being told, and like some of the stuff was trying to be edgy and like I don't know.
Because it's not a unique story. Like we said, fucking Simpsons did it. Like this
Yeah.
is not a new story.
Did Simpsons do it before or
I think
after?
it was after.
I think after.
It was
Oh, definitely after.
Definitely after.
Yeah. It's just, this is the kind of, mad science gone wrong that always appears in the horror and sci-fi thriller aspect of the genres, you know what I mean? There's always somebody who, it's like Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park, they're so worried about if they could do it.
Science
No,
will
it's
find a way, or life
it's
will find a way.
they were always so, preoccupied with whether they could do it rather than if they should do it. You know what I mean? And then that's the drawback to everything. So let's move on just a little bit here. I want to hear Josh's notes on this movie. Get serious, Josh.
Okay.
My first viewing of Body Parts 1991 took place August 10th, 2021 at 3:18.
I'm just going to say before you go on.
Yeah, you're going to say
Go ahead, Aaron. You say
thinking,
it first.
I was just going to say that, man, that mic sure makes you just more intense, like more just
Piercing,
rounded, man.
piercing.
It's just
It was the last.
And I feel
Hair
like
curler a little bit.
the next episode you're probably going to see all of us pull up smoking pipes and just kind of sit there with our jackets on going, I agree. It's Masterpiece Theater with Josh Lambert.
Good job.
It's kind of like one of those little hair curls.
It does kind
Like
of
the
look
old
like a hair
grandma.
curl.
That's right.
Yeah.
Please
It's more
continue,
Badass.
Josh.
The opening music for this film is like the most dramatic thing I've ever fucking heard. It was so hype. It was so unnecessary. It did not fit with the rest of the movie. I was expecting something completely different from the opening. Quote, even though I'm not interested in football, man, the 1990s were a weird time for men. That was how you proved your masculinity. 10 out of 10 bet he forgets to pick up the garbage bags on his way home from work. Holy shit. This is why you should wear your fucking seatbelt. Went flying through the windshield, and all he needs is a new arm. Like, he's got like barely any cuts up. His legs are fine, no broken bones, tickety boo, but his arm clean off. Uh, the entire film is going to be the wife's fault. She okayed the murder arm. It's 100% her
She
problem.
okayed the murder arm.
She signed off on
True.
it, man. She should have read that fine print. What's up with the nurses with the shotguns at like the
That
Where
was
were
the
the
police. The police were in the surgery room because he was a
Oh,
convicted
okay.
criminal on the table. Yeah,
They were
just
waiting
didn't wanna
until
get
he
up.
was declared
8
dead.
shotguns
They had like 8 of
Yeah.
them with shotguns. This
Yeah,
guy
He was a
must
bad
shotgun.
motherfucker.
for one dude.
I guess he did kill like 5 cops
Yeah.
from this, eh? What kind of hospital gasses their patients mid-surgery? This place is losing credibility very quickly with me. They got guys with shotguns in the operating room. They got completely coherent people in the operating room, despite the fact that they just made their wife sign off paperwork when the other person is clearly coherent and awake. The gore was pretty solid from what I could see, but it was very quick. I don't know if I was watching an edited version or what, but did you guys notice that like the cuts were very quick
they
in
were.
the operating room?
They were. It was meant to leave a little bit to the imagination, but it would give you a little taste of something.
Yeah. When his wife asked the nurse, "Can we be alone for a minute?" I just thinking in my head that the wife's gonna be like, the garbage is really starting to pile up. I really need those bags.
You selfish asshole.
It's such a mess. Like, all I needed you to do was pick up.
And then
some
she looks at him
garbage.
and she was like, "It's still waiting for you when you get home, by the way."
Yeah, it will be there when you get home.
Seemingly 5 days later.
His arm is literally held together with like scotch tape at one point, and the nurse is like, "Yeah, move your arm." It's like, he's just got out of fucking surgery. It's held together with scotch tape. Like, what? He's not gonna move his fingers.
It's 3M, man.
Yeah. Quote: "How does it feel to have someone else's arm?" What kind of reporter is this? Like, was that going to be their big
They could
headline?
ask him if it's like, when the old joke about like sitting on your hand for an hour before you jerk off
The
or some shit.
stranger.
The stranger.
The permanent stranger.
What's it like?
But there's a reporter that
I
asked.
think I made a note about that somewhere.
There's somebody that asked him about his sex life too. A reporter that does during that same scene.
Oh yeah, greasy
fuckers.
reporters. The doctor reminds me of the nurse in A Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
straight
good
blonde
call.
hair.
Yeah.
Daphne or Delphi
Delphi,
or whatever her name
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
whatever.
I had to look it up. I thought it was her.
Yeah, me too. I looked and noticed that. Oh, it's not her. I love that the kid's name is Little Billy. It's like the
They
least
actually
creative
call
name
him
for a
Little
kid.
Billy too. Yeah.
Come here, Little Billy. The killer hand is getting some pretty greasy shit done right now. You want to arm wrestle or what? I thought that was pretty comical when he meets the lefty. If you're left-handed and the arm you get plopped on you is right-handed, do you become ambidextrous or just like you still left-handed? Bill fucking smokes his kid, like just whacks the shit out of him when they're play fighting.
Yeah.
He's not even phased that the guy stopped him and watched him play basketball when he pulls him over, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been watching you," but he's just like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. My legs don't work though." The cuts are very quick. You can barely see any gore with the guy with no legs. We're 3/4 away through the movie, and there hasn't really been a killing spree. I thought for sure that the whole shtick was going to be that like the guy's arm, like he blacks out and starts killing people or something.
Yeah.
That wasn't where this was going. Who the fuck was that in the bandaging? How's that for police timing? They pull up as soon as the guy gets ripped his arm off and thrown out the window. The handcuff scene through the doors was fucking dramatic as shit. With Buddy handcuffed through the 2 cars and they're driving. I thought that was actually a really cool scene. Did I miss something? Like, who the fuck is this guy with the bandages? The murderer was executed, so it's not him. And then my next line was, they've got parts of him in fucking Bacta tanks from Star Wars. Head transplants. And the whole sci-fi aspect of this film is actually really dated. A lot of this stuff actually happens in science now, which kind of ruins the film for me. And then at one point he pulls on like the full Han Solo Greedo dodge in special editions. He just like straight up dodging bullets, just does like the head dodge. The worst part of this story is at the end of the day, they still didn't pick up the garbage bags. And those are my notes.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely fucking weird shit that goes on in some of this parts of this movie here. So I found there's two things that I'm gonna add to your notes here. One, with the head transplant type of scenario that you're talking about there. That's, in my opinion, that could be if they decided to do some sort of a revisitation of this type of movie. I'm not saying a remake of Body Parts or otherwise. There was a really interesting article I remember reading about a year ago where they were talking about the first head transplant person that they were going to deal with.
Like
It's actually happened. But they were saying
Yeah.
that one of the major side effects could possibly have been like fucking going insane. Like the guy would actually go mentally fucking dead and go insane because of just the absolute changes to the body. It might not be something that the mind can handle. So I was just thinking to myself, like, that would be like the coolest fucking way to go about this kind of a movie again. It's like the whole head transplant thing too, right? That'd be fucking crazy.
I have a
feel
question.
Like hormone regulation and stuff too would affect
Yep.
your brain being in a different
big
body.
time.
Like everything would be different or
Yep.
stunted.
What version of this movie did you guys watch?
It was like a DVD from like a couple years ago.
Okay, like, so when he gets thrown through the car, did you guys see the severed arm scene?
Actually, no.
Thrown
What?
through the
Like
car.
like the initial
Yeah,
accident?
because there's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
the version that I watched, I was like, I don't remember it being because it just sparked that someone said like, you know, the quick cuts not showing the violence, but I was like, wait a minute, that car accident, he's on the ground. And he looks over and you can see the big accident behind and the camera keeps panning back and you see the arm on the ground and it's moving
No.
and he's looking at his arm all in fucking whatever and then a truck comes and fucking
Oh!
runs over it and then he
That was
passes
not the
out.
version that
Yeah.
I saw, and I don't remember that.
No,
Here,
didn't see that. The
I'll
director's cut the arm cut from
yeah,
that cut.
like there's all kinds of fucking uncut footage
Oh,
from
man.
this movie.
That would explain a lot because, like I said, they did not spend time on gore. It
I
feels like
will
it was
say-
cut for
Yep.
TV.
And the last thing I'll say is Rick and Morty did it better, by the way, with the arm. So that's all I'm gonna say. They
did,
did,
didn't
man.
they?
Like
They
the whole,
did.
you know,
Yeah.
like there's something
Yeah,
there's
I'll
something
send the
different,
link
right?
to
I
you
was just
guys to
expecting
the
them to start
YouTube.
talking to the fucking arm and shit, right? So
You guys watch this scene right now as we're fucking doing this because it's kind of dope. And this was in the version that I watched
Well, where did you watch yours?
on YouTube.
there you go.
What?
Yeah, I just literally typed in body parts.
And there it was.
This was on
There-
YouTube.
Well, there you go.
Well, this scene that I
Yeah.
just sent you.
I had to buy a VHS, find the VHS, find a TV that would work with a VHS.
No, you didn't.
He's lying.
No.
He's lying.
I'm not that dedicated.
All right.
Shit.
Yeah, I didn't see this scene at all.
That just sounded out of place. All I could hear,
Isn't
But
that
all I
such
could
a
hear was,
90s trope?
oh, I'm like, oh, that's the wrong movie.
He's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'll have to check that out afterwards.
Yeah, no, that was
yeah,
not
no, that
there.
wasn't in the film I watched.
No.
That would have been better.
Yeah.
He's trying to make his way to his arm.
Well, I mean, talking about the effects work here, Aaron, why don't you jump in here, buddy, and give us your notes
Yeah.
on anything?
Sure. When I
Did you
first watched this,
indirectly ask him for his notes, or did you ask him for his notes? Because you didn't ask for his notes,
Okay,
right?
fine. Aaron, why don't you give us your notes on the
It was a
effects work?
casual.
Aaron!
I thought
It
you were
was
going
a
to say
nice
like
smooth transition, Tim. Jeez.
it was kind of smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, but then Tim
Yeah,
fucked
I'm
it
not
up
used
on
to
me,
that,
so
though.
moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah,
Well-
well, you know what? Whatever.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Tim. When I watched this like years ago, I was like, it was kind of slow and stuff. And then I watched I actually watched what was on Amazon Prime. I rented it because I couldn't find it anywhere, and where we had it posted or whatever, it wasn't working for me. So, but it still had. It didn't seem like it was cutting really fast. I was still able to see, a lot of the work that they put into the effects and things like that. So I was still pretty happy over the whole thing for being a 1991 movie and having these kind of effects in them. Uh, I know that there's transfers in there. I know that there's it looks to be like silicone or gelatin, and they did a fantastic job from start to finish. Despite a couple little things that happened, in between that I picked out, I think they did a pretty cool job on the effects work in this scenario, especially at the end when you see the display with the body parts moving and
dope.
things. I was like, yes, I forgot about this. This is wicked, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I took a few notes, and Gordon Smith was. If you're not familiar with the effects world, Gordon Smith is a huge effects guy. He's been responsible for a lot of X-Men movies, and I want to name a movie that he was really kind of controversial over was the movie Alive, right? Where they start eating
The
people
plane
in a
crash,
plane
yeah.
crash and things like that. Right. That was a pretty realistic situation that was happening up in the mountains. And that was all the rave back then. I remember them talking about Alive. But he also did like movies like Jacob's Ladder, obviously. Jeff was in that one as well. And then you had Platoon, Robocop, Natural Born Killers, K-19. So he's a dude that's been involved with a lot of stuff, a lot of really kind of cool movies, and it's consistent with the gore. Like he's really good at when they were wheeling Fahey in into the operating room, and they have that egregious shot of his arm all just ripped right out, and you see it kind of flopping around, and I was like, man, that's awesome. That reminds me of like a mind warp effect kind of thing out of Toronto. 15 people on the makeup crew, filmed in Toronto, Ontario, which was very cool for back in 1991. Would have been so okay. So I made a note about the car accident when the truck hits the back of the car, he gets ejected out the front. That's not what would have happened with that scene. In my eyes, that's not what would have happened. And Brendan, I mean, being what you do during the day, you get hit that hard, your chair is going to break and you're going out the back window. I would think in that scenario. I mean, there's going to be forces that when you're hit, you're going to be going this way, and then the return, you're going to be going this way if you're wearing your seatbelt. But he flew out of that front window like he wasn't wearing anything.
Yeah,
Right.
he did that. What he wasn't like, he didn't look like he was wearing a seatbelt at all.
No, right.
What would most likely happen is there would be a forward momentum,
right,
but he'd still be in his seat. There would have to be enough force to dislodge his seat or dislodge his seatbelt, but he'd most likely just get crushed by the back of the car.
It was the 90s. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Well,
I will mention as well that
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that windshield was tempered glass, which they don't have tempered glass. Only side windows typically are.
That's right.
So but that's like a movie thing. I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely, 100%.
Because it breaks so easy.
Yeah, because it looked like a window
that.
pane breaking instead of beating and shattering that way.
Yeah, that was confusing for me.
He would have been like half hung out of the windshield instead.
That's right. Yeah,
right on the jaggedness.
Yeah. So with my research and stuff that I've done, I that didn't make sense to me at that point. I still think it was pretty cool what they did there, and I did like the little add-on that you said there, Tim. I love the torn off arm effect. I thought that was really cool. I already mentioned that. They had laceration sutures on the forehead, and what they did to make that laceration look a little worse was they just pinched the skin a little bit and then tied it in and put a little bit of color in there. And for that one scene, it looked like you had a little bit more of a laceration, and they managed to carry that on throughout the film, all the way through the film. I don't think I've seen a film that's an hour and a half or 90 minutes long that has got such good continuity in it for a while. And that shocked me with this, because every shot I was trying to pick out whether he didn't have his scar, he didn't have, like whatever, but he did. And whether it was like the little razor cut that was barely there to see, it was still there. I was absolutely shocked over that. Let's see here. Great continuity, excellent arm effects. And I made a point whether it was silicone or gel. It definitely to me looked like silicone because it had the translucency to it. Especially when the doctor came in and she had his arm out and wanted him to move it, and you could see the stitches embedded in the flesh in the arm. So I was pretty stoked when I saw all this. I'm like, man, this is actually pretty good for 1991, right? But I mean, go figure. You got Gordon Smith going on board here and things like that. So the bathroom shaving scene with the arm effects, that was the one part that was kind of dicey for me. You could see the back part of his arm, and you could see where the piece was kind of separating a little bit and lifting. I was paying attention to that, but maybe the generic public watching this wouldn't have seen that, right? They're paying more attention to what was going on with his face, and yeah, exactly, right. Um, let's see here. I've got very good continuity written throughout this thing, like over and over again. The good application of the appliances, the coloration and the coloring of the legs on the transplant victim was spot on with what the arm looked like. So you could tell that there was some really good continuity between the people doing the effects. The person that did the arm rip and the surgery stuff, they must have been directly involved in the legs and everything as well, because it was very, very, it was spot on. There was no deviation from how those effects looked. It was good. The strangulation scene where his arm sneaks over and grabs his wife by the neck. I don't know if you guys recognize this, but when she's up against the wall screaming, she's actually got red marks around her neck. Even though it was kind of a dark scene, she's actually got the red marks around her neck. So that to me is like paying very close attention to detail in this movie.
Brendan, in case you didn't know, Brendan, Aaron is like a stickler for like little continuity details.
Right, I am.
Don't kink shame him.
No kink shaving. No kink shaving.
I'm not kink shaming him.
The severed legs on the bed, that seemed to go pretty quick.
Too quick.
Obviously, that's illusion, right? You got the hole in the bed and things like that. But it did,
What?
yeah. In my
No.
in my opinion, it was too quick. I think they should have kind of zoomed in on it a little bit more.
It probably looked hokey. They probably filmed it like,
maybe,
oh, this looks
maybe,
fucking
but I
dumb.
can't
We
imagine.
Can't show this.
I can't imagine Gordon Smith. You know, I mean, it looked great from the angle that they had, and I think they could have just a few more seconds they could have left on that. Remo's death was messed up, where he gets pushed or whatever out the window. I'm trying to figure out how his arm ripped off so easy when he was dangling there. I still haven't figured that out because it was all repaired.
It's not like he was like a week out from surgery or something. You know what I mean? And
no,
I had to Google it.
Yeah,
it takes 82 pounds of force to rip an arm out.
82 pounds. That's good. That's
so,
good.
So he has to pull 82 pounds worth, which I think would still be a lot.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
Be a lot. Yeah. 82 pounds.
Yeah, but he had leverage. He put his foot up on the
I
ledge.
guess.
Maybe.
He ain't no Wookiee.
When he falls on the car below, and that was kind of ridiculous in my eyes too, because it was like the police get called and they're like right there in 2 seconds. But he falls on the police car, and then you see the kind of fake shiny head and everything kind of come in, and that was kind of strange for me as well. But given the time, it worked, and it was a pretty good effect. Nice arm on the dash, so when the killer is driving, he's got the arm on the dash, he's got legs in the back seat. I thought that was hilarious. And they're good limbs. They're really good. Like, they look really good. So I thought I had a good giggle over that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I love the body parts displayed in the case. I love that stuff. It hit me that House on Haunted Hill had kind of that's what flashed in my head when I was watching this, where they go down, in the collection, and they got the big foam, not supposed to be foam, but the big displays going on. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's wicked. And then to have them moving, I couldn't see any seams. I couldn't see anything. They were just fantastic. They look great. I want that in my haunted house. Love the body part display case, end shot, the end shot in the facility. Yeah. Did any of you guys pick up on that? Where they're both leaning against the tree at the very end when the credits are coming up. They're all
Mhm.
everybody's kind of wearing like denim, like the same color denim. So is he in a hospital, like a mental hospital? Did anybody catch that?
Mm.
Ken?
No.
Like,
I didn't
yeah,
catch that.
yeah,
It was
I
91
noticed.
though.
That's right. And they
Yeah,
made
I
they made
think
the
they
screen
just wore
stick
denim.
around. Well, yeah, but it looked like not well, it kind of looked penitentiary denimish, but it looked like facility kind of
Hmm.
wear. So was his wife visiting him in there? I think they left that open for because those credits played for a while before it actually switched over and faded out, right? So I think they're
was
trying to
checked out at
mix.
that point.
Open up for a sequel.
Yeah. So those are my notes, boys.
Nice. Excellent.
If they were smart, they would have called it Body Part and then had a sequel called Body Parts.
Nicely said.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
They used a lot of
Classic
rigid
Geiger
collodion. They
style.
used a lot of rigid collodion in this for the scarring and things like that. But it was really good. And then they used
I
some.
thought the scarring was really good. Like on
the only thing that I will say that I didn't like about the effects was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, like you might have seen like a better quality copy, or you might have picked up on this pigment change in the arm. I couldn't really
That was
see too much of a difference between his skin pigment and the arm that was just attached. If for me, it would have been a better effect if it would have been like, a little lighter or a little darker,
discolored.
like, because
Oh, I was hoping for a completely different race. I was hoping he'd have like a little Asian guy's arm or like a young black woman's arm, like something just completely out of place.
Just really skinny arm.
Yeah.
I think you know what I had a pretty good quality version. I mean, it was prime, and it looked pretty clear to me. And they did have some undertones of different coloring throughout, like marbling and stuff in different parts of the sewed up arm. So I would have picked up on that, Adam, for sure. But if you're watching that on VHS, like what Brendan's doing, then yeah, you probably
exactly.
wouldn't pick it
Okay.
up
It's fuzzy.
on.
I had to turn the tracking knob.
You
Yeah, yeah.
stand there with it. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Brendan, how about
Mm.
you regale us with your notes from watching this movie and your thoughts on it?
Well, first I'll say, yes, I'm a noob to horror genre. I enjoy the movies, but I don't look at them critically. And I was told to take notes, and let me just say that halfway through Suicide Squad, before I realized I was watching the wrong movie, so I had to restart my notes. So this is all going great on day one. I took a lot of notes, and a lot of them are questions, more so to myself to get my brain working a little bit. So I put Body Parts, 1991, and the tagline is, "It will scare you to pieces." Director Eric Red, known for The Hitcher, The Hitcher 2, and Body Parts commentary. Jeff Fahey is interesting. He loses a limb in this because he is also Robo Dog Dude in Alita Battle Angel, where he loses both arms and a jaw. So they're constantly just taking pieces away from this poor man. Creepy violin to start, which, as you guys mentioned, it sort of set the tone a little bit, but then it didn't actually end up setting the tone. It was very intense. The main character, I like I mentioned before, Chris Pine vibes from the 90s. He's a doctor slash shrink, criminal shrink. He had a lot of guy liner throughout, male eyeliner. And as far as I'm concerned, his wife was Courtney Cox. and him and his family all had the exact same haircut.
She was pretty smoking.
Yeah, yeah. Like Monica was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I was going to blame his accident on his driving while dictating, even though that's not really a crime. So I didn't really want to shame him for that. We already did that sort of technical call out on the windshield. So when he's in the hospital and the doctor's talking to the wife, what's the criteria for being that arm donor? Was my question. Was it like Josh said, where it was like they had to be a certain race or gender, or is it a blood type? Is it age? Like I said,
it was
just
the perfect match.
yeah, it's a perfect match, but apparently it was also a perfect match for a bunch of other people too that same week.
They
A
just-
lot of shotguns.
They had to go to an arms
Oh
dealer.
fuck.
Oh god.
Tim, it's
So a lot of
funny
shotguns
because
around.
arms dealers sell guns, not actually arms. And this movie is about a guy with a missing arm.
Oh.
You think?
I thought a giant saw was excessive to remove the arm and wield him unconscious while they're operating on the other person is just going to add to trauma. They remove the buddy's head. Immediately, I was like, who the hell is this guy that they're removing his head? How badass must he be? And then the exercise scene, just because I sort of took some courses on some stuff, he should be working out both arms simultaneously to balance out his symmetry. And he was way super strong. So either that's because he has an undead arm and he has undead powers now, or Buddy was just really jacked in prison.
Either or.
The reporter asked about how the arm would affect his sex life. All I was thinking was, will he forever be giving himself this favor?
All right. Yeah, yeah. We all had the same thought on that one.
Yeah. So I thought the scars on the arm looked pretty good, but I was confused why there were scars down his arm as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have to like
Maybe to
run,
fuse bones
like,
or something. I don't know.
run wires through
Well, they did.
to
They
connect
did
the
make
nerves, or
reference.
just do it all up here?
They made reference to grafting, like grafting some flesh onto him at one point. I just chalked it up to that. I don't know why. If his arm
Because
was
otherwise the arm would
shaped.
have been pristine because it was
That's
from
right.
the other dude.
That's right. Unless you need to hook up new ligaments and tendons, but why would you have to go down that low? So
All the
that's
way down. Should all
yeah,
be right there.
yeah. It's just that was just for
Idiots. Yeah, I know.
Peculiar.
So ever since he got the arm and he had that romantic scene with his wife in bed, I was waiting for the choke. And I'm so happy that it happened because I was like, yes! And I scared the cat.
Meow.
So the kids were creepy as fuck, and I didn't like them. That's all I'll say about that. Okay. That the inmate was a very good judge of character before even knowing that he had the, what was it, striker tattoo?
Mhm.
You know, that maybe you're acting out all this pent up rage and violence, and this is actually you, kind of thing. Just let it all out. Charles Fletcher, murder arm. And this is what I mentioned, is the arm an excuse for finally acting on his violent impulses? I was thinking the movie would go in a way
Big
that
twist.
it wasn't actually the arm at all, and he just thought it was and just started going on a
It
freaking
would be
murder
cool,
spree.
actually.
But the murder spree never happened. So I was a little let down with that. But then I started questioning what was so important about this inmate, because apparently he's a wicked painter, a really good basketball player. He can jump like 6 feet in the air. Turtleneck should make a comeback. Confirmed. Kid, which I'm just realizing now is Little Billy, took a punch like a champ.
Fucking
was a
smoked
solid
him,
one,
man.
too.
Yeah, this sound.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite.
Good
film.
good Foley sounds.
To which I again wrote, he's clearly acting out his own aggressions. He just wanted to smack his kid finally.
Arm.
The basketball guy's doing great for just coming out of the hospital with brand new legs. I mean, it took me 6 weeks after a back surgery to really walk properly, but
This guy's
really good doctor.
dunking.
Yeah. I should also mention that I classified the right arm as instead of the murder arm, it's just the murder arm. So if that comes up, I don't know if I wrote that any further through this. Murder arm.
Murder arm.
Starts sleep choking his wife. Knew it. His wife doesn't believe in him, clearly. And I had a chuckle, and he said, just give me a hook or something to the doctor. Just take it off. Just give me a hook. And then I thought he was going to go crazy and have to cut the arm off himself. I kind of liked when the three of them were hanging out. Technically, it was 4 of them. Mostly 4, like 3.75 of them were hanging out. And I thought it was great. They were having a nice little bonding moment. And then that stupid drunk got the brunt of this killer right hook. hook after hook after hook after hook. Murder legs struggled after the bar fight. Then I thought maybe they were just delayed murder legs, and that he was about to start
Kicking ass. Yeah,
kicking
kicking
people
ass.
to death. Yeah, like maybe he was like kicking a cat on the way home or something. I don't know.
Enters a taekwondo tournament and just starts
Um,
kicking everybody to death.
Yes. So then he calls Chris Pine, and I thought, remember writing down phone numbers in books, like having a little book,
Yep.
Yeah, your little
and just
black
like,
book. Yeah.
Little black
yeah,
book.
Little
yeah, I don't
Bible.
know anybody's number anymore. And then Buddy lost his leg suddenly. I would have liked to see that scene. I thought that would have been kind of cool. At least maybe even like a silhouette of like somebody coming in and something. And then I started suspecting the body parts were being retrieved by some clandestine clandestine,
Mhm.
some secret, spooky secret organization or research facility. And I knew that the murder artist didn't stand a chance. He makes $250,000 in a few weeks from paintings, and he has shit home security. Like it's just like the dingiest, like invest. Um, I wrote, "Oh my, head transplant. How? Why superhuman strength?" And that could very well just be undead. Charlie is
Science.
savage. So 82 pounds of force to rip an arm out of the socket. So clearly he is super strong. During the whole handcuff arm scene, I think Charlie could have just veered to the right really sharply at any point. I don't feel that Bill was holding the car to the left, like holding the cars together. He could have just went that way, and I don't think the arm would have been gone. I think maybe the wrist would have separated or like the elbow or something. But
Yeah.
I don't know that much about anatomy, but I'm pretty sure the wrist would break off first. I thought the left arm was on the hood the whole time until so I was like, why did he put on the hood? That is the most conspicuous thing I've ever seen in my life. And then I was like, where are the legs? And then after the accident, oh, he's holding everything like a crazy person.
Mine.
And then it turns out the doc was working with Charlie all along to make him whole.
Where did the body come from? That's what I want to know. So they took
Yeah.
his head off. Whose body is that?
Yeah,
That's
I don't
just,
know.
she walked the head into the next room, which was she put on a different body. That's why they were
Just-
trying to
They
rebuild
just
his
got fucking
body.
bodies on deck waiting.
So somebody
gee.
lost their got decapitated in some accident.
Bodies on
That's right.
deck.
So Bill takes time to journal about what just happened after that car chase, even though he has a voice dictating device that he could have just simply done that. The cops were after him because he just stole a police car and the police officer's gun, and he's just, your diary. This
What
is
pisses me
what I'm
both
gonna
off
do
about
now.
that is that leads it up so that he dies, and he doesn't die.
Oh. How does he get into the OR so quickly with no security or resistance whatsoever?
That's pre 9/11. You just waltz right in.
Yeah, but you think there'd be like a high alert on him at least. They knew that they were going after his body parts. The body parts moving. I didn't notice a brain in that little case to kind of make the move. So it could have been electrical impulses. I will say, I do like the gross attention to detail with the piss bag.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was a
saw
piss
that.
bag.
piss
Yeah, that's
bag, yeah.
great. Yeah.
Then Charlie's super arm. I thought his super arm was going to start fighting back. Like he's finally getting control over it again. Again, so much guy liner. Shotgun to the head. Best way to kill the undead. You guys might have learned that just from me saying that. Arm was evil by telepathy, perhaps, or some sort of psychic link, but there's no. I don't know. I don't buy. I don't understand how it would work, but it's a movie from the early '90s, so I'll let them have it. They had to sit awkwardly by that tree for way too long.
Yeah.
While the credits rolled. I didn't like that. It made me feel uncomfortable.
They're really still.
No end credit scene, which is very disappointing. I waited, and nothing.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody that made it, but
that's about all I have. I have a final verdict without the grade if you
Well,
want.
let's leave that
Or
for
we
our
can wait.
final notes when we actually go around
Okay.
the table there. But thank you, Brendan, your very first contribution to the show. Very well done. Thank you very kindly.
I didn't mean to be so critical about it.
No, you weren't
no,
critical
that's
enough.
kind of the whole point.
I did enjoy it,
No, you need to tell us how you really feel when you watch these movies.
and I take too many notes. I've learned that. I haven't written in like 3 years with an actual hand. So
That's okay. I told the guys I severely expect that one of these episodes, the first note that you're going to give us is, "What the fuck did you make me watch?" And I highly expect that. So let's I look forward to your next one.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that the next episode's much more intriguing. Tim.
Something weird.
Tim.
Yes, sir.
Tim.
Yeah.
Tim. It is time for.
That was like nails down a chalkboard, guys. Don't ever do that again.
It is time for Trivia Time with Tim.
I'm so excited.
So, there is a fake
Oh,
piece of
boy.
trivia
Yeah,
tonight.
okay.
I'm
But
excited.
the shitty thing is that there's not a lot of trivia.
Okay.
So it's gonna nail, like, it's gonna, like, you, Josh might be able to fucking just pick this piece of bologna right off the sandwich.
Toasted bologna sandwich.
Right off the sandwich.
All right.
All
So
right.
much extra
Please
work.
proceed, Mr.
I know.
Johnson.
Okay. Apparently, advertisements for this movie were canceled in Wisconsin due to the Jeffrey Dahmer killings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Body Parts is very similar to a 1971 episode of Night Gallery titled The Hand of Borges Weems.
Borges Weens.
Borges Weems.
Josh's bologna meter just went.
Larry Gross did uncredited work for the shooting script. This is, in fact, a very loose adaptation of a French novel, which is said to be sold very well in English translation for over 25 years previously. It had been announced as a Hollywood project with a screenplay by David Newman and Robert Benton several times in the late 1960s and the 1970s. Yeah, so it's not a new idea at all. Shout Factory is rumored to release an uncut version of this movie with a runtime of almost 2 hours, meaning there is 30 minutes of uncut and mostly unseen footage.
Flying arm scene.
Oh.
Maybe we'll see the legs come off.
Charlie Fletcher's date of execution was listed as November 17th, 1991, which means the events of this film took place after the film's release of August 2nd, 1991. And that, gentlemen, is Trivia Time with Tim.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
I told
I would like
a
to
lot.
add something interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Charlie Fletcher, played by John Walsh. I was wondering what else he was in. He was in Friday the 13th as a stuntman. He also did stunts in Battlefield Earth and X-Men Futures Past. All stunts. But what I really wanted to say was he was a graduate of Dalhousie High School and St. FX University in Antigonish, Nova Scotia.
Dang, okay.
Huh.
Very good.
Ah,
Right on.
ah.
Coming out with the
shit.
trivia.
Yeah.
That's
Trivia time with
Wait, drink that
Brendan.
thanks for the foreplay, Tim.
Tim became the opening act.
It's opening for Brendan now.
Okay, so
I just wanted to add that, just the fact
one
that
of
it was
those
like
is fake.
local.
Which one?
He's
All right.
local.
I have an idea. I think it's the novel one that you're talking about. I don't think that but I don't think that the whole thing's bullshit. I think that you added the fact that it had been like 60s and 70s and
Didn't I don't do that anymore.
Okay, then the
'cause
whole
Josh
fucking
got mad
novel
at me.
thing. The whole fucking novel thing. Out the door. It's baloney.
I think the fucking Schneider cut baloney. He pulled that one last time. There's no 2 hour fucking cut of this. I hope
All
not.
right, Aaron, what do you think? Pass.
Balls.
Balls.
I think it was the second point you made. I don't know. It was too weird for you to make that up, but I'm
What's
going
the
with
fucking the hand of Borges Weems.
yes.
I hope that.
All right,
I hope Timothy made
all
that
right.
up.
Brendan, do you have any ideas to what the bullshit might be?
I obviously wasn't paying attention to any of it. I was just waiting for my
So you're
turn
just
to
gonna say
speak.
Borges Weems.
So I agree. I think it's the 2-hour thing.
Okay.
I don't think there's any more to this film.
All right.
I think there's a little bit more to this film. I think the version we saw was cut down, but not a fucking another half hour, 40 minutes. That's grade A
All right.
Bologna.
True.
Tim.
Josh.
Oh, there you go.
Josh.
Josh is correct. Adam's an idiot as usual.
Adam
and Brendan
Adam,
and Brendan.
There's
And Brendan.
yeah, I said Brendan. There is indeed a French
Okay.
novel.
Named
See, and the
Borges
original
Weems.
piece of trivia that I had that I was going to write, like actually say, was going to play on the whole idea of the Dahmer killings. But I figured Josh would have called bullshit because he was like, you can't use that because there's already a piece of trivia that has that in it. Because I was going to do the original one was this movie
Listen,
was
Tim. The reason why I said you can't do that is because you're going to do something like read a piece of trivia. The first advertisement for this came out in April of 1999. And the truth is going to be it came out in May of 1999. And I ain't got time for that level of
no, I
Bologna.
know. But the original piece that I was going to say originally, and this was like literally the majority of the episode, it was going to be the movie was almost banned in many U.S. cities due to the Jeffrey Dahmer killings.
Hmm.
That was the original one that I was going to use. But then I was reading some article about Shout Factory, and I was like, oh, Shout Factory could release a version of this movie. So yeah, I just said 2 hours because I mean the movie's an hour and 38 minutes long, so that's just
Yeah.
It's an extra
22
20
minutes.
somewhere. Yeah.
And you'd seen a different cut than we had, so I figured.
True.
Oh, yeah.
But again,
25
Josh
seconds
just
longer.
doesn't care about any of those little unseen details.
All the nuances and work.
look,
The
yeah.
best was the bears.
Yeah.
What was it? Your fucking Norwegian bears.
Yeah, Josh called bullshit on like he was in Paris or something. He's like, "There's no bears in Paris," and like he's like, "That one's the fake one," even though the movie was filmed in like Norway, where there are a large brown bear population. I did research for this piece of trivia. He wasn't even paying attention and just called bullshit anymore.
All right.
That's why Tim doesn't try anymore. 'Cause Josh just killed.
Clearly.
All right, gentlemen, it is time for us to give our final thoughts and give a rating for this movie. And in honor of Brendan's first episode, Brendan, you have the floor first, please.
Josh, you get to go first.
No, that's almost to be expected with me, though. And in honor of Brendan's first episode, Tim!
You can go last.
Brendan, please proceed.
Okay. So originally, I thought it was an interesting idea for a movie before realizing that it's not an original idea for a movie.
Oh.
I expected it to be a ghost or like a demonic arm possession. Later, it slowly started to change into a newly imagined angle, perhaps for Frankenstein's monster. But instead, the doctor wanted to field test each limb. But not all parts of him. Giggity. Before reassembling it into a nearly unstoppable murder zombie. So she wanted to make murder zombies, probably for the military, because that's usually what happens in these movies. Do you want my rating as well?
Like when you're you give your thing,
okay.
give your rating, and this is how you feel. Done.
Okay, I say that this movie was not too bad. It was good, but I wouldn't say that I would think to mention it to people like you got to see this movie. I wouldn't mention it on my MySpace or my Angel Fire website.
Not even
sure.
GeoCities?
They were not GeoCities. So for that, I rate it a G for good.
Ooh, good movie. Not great, but not bad. Okay. Tim, you may go.
Aw.
Thanks.
Go away.
You may go.
like I said, I saw this movie probably, I don't know, 92. Even though it came out in 91, it's usually a year before it was on the movie channel. I remember. Do you guys
Yep.
remember the movie channel?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I was 1 year old. I do not remember it.
I was talking to you. Yeah, so I watched this movie, and then watching it again, kind of with a fresh perspective, I realized how familiar this movie was, and it kind of ruined it for me. Jeff Faley,
Fahey.
Job.
is dope. I honestly think the whole time I was watching this movie, he would have been fantastic in a remake of The Shining.
Yeah, good call.
That
Mm.
fucking intense look he got in those big fucking blue eyes, like he just reminded me of like Jack Torrance.
Good call.
So that's basically where my mind was mostly, was making up a fucking remake of The Shining starring this guy instead of watching this movie. The movie wasn't like horrible. I just found it boring at points, and I feel like the pacing could have been a lot better. The effects work was pretty fucking good. I enjoyed a lot of the effects work. I feel like the idea, the premise of this whole movie is like really interesting, really kind of intriguing, and you could do something really cool with it. They just didn't do it in this movie. Like, I feel like this movie could have been better if it was written by someone else. Um, like I said earlier, it felt like a discount Stephen King idea. Like, and Stephen King could have did it better, obviously, but I don't know. Like, I did pick up like Frankenstein vibes, and I picked up, um, um, I don't know. I wanted this movie to be better, and it wasn't. And I'm also going to give it. No, I'm not going to give it a G. I'm going to give it a PG because I did enjoy the special effects, and I thought the music was pretty good. And like I said, the version I watched had a lot more gore in it, so I can imagine the version that you guys watched. I probably rated a G, but the version I watched, I'm giving it a PG. PG.
Sweet. Josh.
Yeah. Uh,
Bored. Movie was boring. Seen it before. Nothing new. Uh, the gore was all quick shots. Didn't get to really get a good look at much. Um, the sci-fi aspect is outdated, which kind of kills sci-fi for me when they actually just do that in science now. The best parts of the movie were in the last 15 minutes. So for an hour lead up, you really have to knock that out of the park. And the last 15 minutes were good. I would watch the last 15 minutes again, but it didn't meet up to the lead up that it made. So I will also rate this a G for good.
Very cool. Aaron.
Yeah. There were
yeah.
there were a couple hokey parts to me. The car situation, where they're handcuffed and they go over the jump, and arms didn't get ripped off at that point, kind of disappointed me because that was just all over the place. I mean, either somebody's going to be pulled out of one of those vehicles, or one of those arms is going to be ripped off with 82 pounds of pressure. I mean, you got two metal beasts, rushing down the road. It was cool. And it was dramatic. And the film needed a little bit of action in it. And I see what they were doing with that. But does anybody else, like, why were there so many big
Transport
rigs on the
trucks?
road?
Yeah.
Right. On the road. I'm like, holy shit. I think I counted, like, I don't know. I'm like, man, it's like the dead of night, and we got transport trucks running everywhere, and they're all coming in all lanes. Like, anyway, that was that was a notch down for me on what I was going to rate this film. So that kind of took a little bit of a hit. And I love how Tim made, put Jeff Fahey in a different role in The Shining, because I also had an epiphany that hit me when I saw him on there, and in Lawnmower Man as well.
Yeah.
And that is, he would have been a really good bad guy, or Psycho in The Cell with Jennifer Lopez. because he's got those piercing eyes, and he would have filled that role really good. Now, Vincent D'Onofrio, I mean, he did a fantastic job in that, but he could have also filled that role really well. The effects in this film I thought were absolutely awesome. The continuity was fantastic. I don't know if I saw like an in-between version of of these effects, being prolonged on film, but it didn't cut as fast as what I think some of you guys are saying that they did. I was able to see what was going on, and it wasn't flashing really bad. So maybe there most likely is a couple versions of this that are out there, and they decide to post.
Yeah, maybe a shout factory DVD coming out.
Maybe.
And Josh would be proven wrong. This piece of trivia was true.
Yeah, but you still made it up.
Yeah, I made it real.
The realism is bliss.
I put it out into the universe. I manifested it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in saying all that stuff, I thought the music design was okay. I liked the music in it. The effects were fantastic, and I liked the psychology that they had in amongst it. It made you think a little bit here and there with, how do they get this head attached to a different body? And yeah, it didn't make sense, but it was making me think a bit about, the background stuff that you didn't see. So I'm also going to give this film a PG.
PG.
Yep.
There we go. All right, gentlemen.
Well, it was a good show.
It's been a good show. Let's
Wrap her
moving
up.
on. Good night. That's what it is. I don't need to do shit anymore. There's 4 other people fucking reviewing. Okay, so admittedly, it took me 2 sittings to get through this movie again. I remember sitting through this movie when I was young, going, "Yeah, that's pretty good shit." I agree with Josh. The first hour lead up is kind of like, yeah, like I said, it took me 2 sittings to get through it this time around. But yes, the last little bit's great. The last 15-20 minutes is great. Out of the first part of the movie, I really did like the work that they did in the operating room. Even though the version that I seen was obviously very cut, I like the idea of the fact that, like, just the visuals of the fact that they were basically carving up the inmate right then and there, and just fresh donations. Here we go. You know what I mean? And they take his head off and shit. It was very, very fucking morbid the way that they were handling that, and I thought that was pretty cool the way that they did that. I seen a lot coming out of this movie, and it didn't impress me entirely with certain things, but the effects work was pretty good. The effects work was pretty damn good in this movie, and it did salvage the movie in a lot of ways. I think that more than anything, people should probably watch this movie just for the effects work that they eventually get in the last 15 minutes as well, and that's about it. I will bring up the fact that yes, the ripping off of the arm, out the window and shit like that was kind of fucking weird, and we were talking about the 82 pounds of pressure. It almost made me think back to the guy with the legs, and all I could think to myself the whole time was I imagined a very fucking Looney Tunes-esque situation where what if the killer had come up to him and the guy was playing basketball and he went to go jump and the guy stepped on his foot, and when he jumped his fucking leg came off because the guy was stepping on his foot. You know what I mean? Like, I could literally almost go back and go, fuck, did they really attach them that shittily that could have happened? You know what I mean? Like, something straight out of a fucking cartoon, right? But overall, it's not like it was bad by any means. The effects work really kind of picked it up. Jeff Fahey was really good. I love seeing Brad Dourif in a movie. Like, there are some positives to this movie. Is it one of these movies I'm going to recommend all the time? No. But overall, PG. Pretty good. It definitely kept my attention and kept me going the second time around, too. You know what I mean? When I woke back up and put on the second part of the movie again, and away we went. So I'll just go with that. So there we go. 3 PGs and 2 G. I mean, if we're weighing out the scales, I mean, PG is generally what we have for this movie then. That's pretty good. Excellent. Gentlemen, it's been a good review tonight, and once again, Brendan, buddy, it's good to have you on the show. So we look forward to more of these, and we'll put you through your paces for the next episode. That's for real fucking sure.
We gotta think of a gooder.
I just know I'm here to make you guys feel smarter. That's all it is.
Oh. I feel smart now.
Okay, so your next movie is The Green Inferno.
Cannibal
Holocaust.
Yeah, really, we had to do it. He should have to do like a video
Oh,
essay
God.
on it.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, he'll have to do some sort of a follow up with this. I was asked to watch the Cannibal Holocaust movie as well.
Okay, okay.
Don't.
No.
Yeah.
I refuse.
Okay.
Do I have any say?
No.
Can I watch Suicide Squad yet?
Yes, you may. So the last thing I'll say is just putting this out there here because we really appreciate this too. The reason why we actually did this movie was because we received a message through Facebook from somebody who had just discovered the show and thought enough of the show that he actually reached out to us. His name was Karim Zigrour. My apologies if I'm pronouncing it and absolutely butchering your name, but thank you, Karim, for reaching out to us and suggesting the movie. And as a thank you for taking that much of an interest in and enjoying the show that much, we decided to do the episode for you. So thank you very kindly for reaching out to us. For everybody else out there,
poor guy.
Was that?
That's the way to dox the poor guy, man. Now his wife knows he's watching the show. He should have been.
He's
going
like
to get
guilty by
garbage bags.
association.
Garbage.
That's
Yeah,
not
garbage to
even his
take out.
account because he doesn't want to be known for liking the show. There we go. All right, guys, this has been a great episode. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into us live on Twitch tonight. The episodes will be up on YouTube under the Misunderstood Art Company a little bit later. So please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Twitch as well. We're also on Facebook, where you can find all of the latest information about what we're doing and the episodes that we're posting. And check us out on all of the audio platforms that we produce the actual podcasting version of on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Music, etc., etc., etc. And we're also on Patreon. Open up your hearts and your wallets. Mr. Johnson requires caffeine all the time. That's his life. 2! Holy shit!
Jesus.
Here we
Two-fisting it.
go. He's double fisting.
Two
And until next time,
fists.
Gross.
Josh.
Catheter in. He's got a catheter in.
Two
I
fish,
do-
Johnson.
yeah.
I wasn't super fan of this movie, but I will say that it is the most interesting tale of a husband going to buy garbage bags that I've ever seen.
Fucking holding on to that with dear life. All right. Aaron.
If you needed a hand understanding this, hopefully, we threw you an arm. So,
Fuck's
yeah.
sake.
Yeah.
Enough with the dad jokes. Fuck.
That's what I'm all about, man.
Brendan, say goodbye.
I will say that this was the best thing I reviewed on this cast so far. And thank you.
And
for
we're
having me.
looking for a replacement already. Tim.
Stay safe. Stay spooky.
And until next time, keep it creepy, everybody.
Good night.